We will be talking about the client path. Yesterday, Olga very frequently said that client paths are the most important thing, and Olga, at the plenary meeting, she said that whoever makes the client path tastier would actually win, and we will not be talking with the banks because everybody is saying that everything is fine with the banks, that they are very digital, they are developing very actively, and in order to make the money that the banks bring and issue, they need to be spent somewhere, and we need to spend them at our with my conversation partners, because we all wanna purchase the digital content, the groceries or mobile communications, and we need to discuss with them how they see the client. And I will introduce my today's speakers: Emin Antonyan, a commercial director for corporate and state segment with MegaFon; Alexander Aivazov, senior vice president of VK for investment and business development; Evgeny Galimskiy, director for identification, service development and subscriptions of X5 Group; Alexey Kornya, executive director of Magnit retail network; and Alexander Samsonov, director for strategic partnerships at Avito. I hope that every one of you has at some point purchased something or used the services of your colleagues, and I can honestly say that my kids this year has actually tasked me with a very important thing. For them, the most popular thing now, the most popular network is VK. Fest was actually excellent when I came to VK Fest, and I understood that half of the performers are someone I do not know. It's a music fest. And the kid said, "Dad, you're old." But about the client track, actually, Sasha called me, but he said my kid could not register herself because of being underage. And it's actually nice that the companies are promptly listening to the connections from their users, so they actually promptly do something in that respect, and we'd probably start. And I would actually ask Alexey Korny, because Magnit being a large network with various stores, both grocery stores and cosmetic sales stores and drug stores, you're being a traditional large-scale retail, how do you perceive your clients? How do you work with your clients? How do you improve the interface? Because you have huge numbers of visitors, huge numbers of shoppers. Can you tell me, Losha? Yes, thank you for the question. And when you're asking about offline, the client experience is always clear. What you're saying, how the offline player pictures oneself in the digital world, it's a kind of a challenge. And I think that this understanding and what are the main strategic pushes. Actually, we know that all clients are going digital, and we as the largest offline player, and for us it remains a key. We have this omni. It's actually quite primitive, but when you look at it, we have this omni experience, how you make a combination offline and online stuff, and the points of communication of stuff and how you can provide for a throughput for your way from the loyalty system to the specific offline experience. And we perfectly understand and we see it. It couldn't be a chicken and egg dilemma, but it actually exists. The person who is with us in the omni experience and in the digital and in offline modes, he is merging, or actually he is incrementing, his income is incrementing, and his income is higher than of the offline client. So it's a quality of the client basis. And actually, I think it's more than just more high-income clients, because when there is an interface between you and the client, at certain points you get a higher income from him. He lives with you longer, and his LTV increasing, so the lifespan increases, and it's confirmed by the digits. And finally, there is this depending on your business, you understand what interface with the client you arrange. We started to talk about a telecom experience, but depending on the specifics of your product, you get the specifics of your loyalty system and your contacts with the client. So the telecom has one task from the point of view of forming loyalty, compared to your task which you have in retail, because it's a more transactional story. The client always takes decisions whether he will or will not be with you, but in telecom, the client takes this decision once in lifetime or once every 3 to 4 years. So the average lifetime of your client is a lot longer, and therefore the approach to how you perceive, how you form the client, track client path is different. Because in retail you should bring the client every day, and the role of prices is very high. And while the role of the cost of acquiring client in different segments, in the financial sector and banking, etc., is different. Therefore, I would like to emphasize those 3 elements, and I can once again say that the experience should include digital experience, it should be omni, and secondly, you should, depending on the product, form your system of interface. Like Yandex has its own loyalty system, Loyalty Plus, and it will be different from other loyalty systems because it has a different product line. And also, for you it is very important. I actually forgot the third item I emphasized, but it's very important to build a long-term partnership with the clients. And I would like to once again comment on what you said. We actually asked about loyalty and client interface, and if I understand, you actually are promoting subscription very actively subscription. So how do you work with the client? The subscription, you said that you had a very classy story with the subscription. Can you ask how does it help? Why are you doing that? Good afternoon, everybody. It's actually worth saying that in X5 there is loyalty. It's actually two-level. And unlike Magnit, there are several businesses. It's Petorechka and Перекресток networks are different, and a tectonic shift happened. The loyalty program became united. You can spend money, bonus points from Petorechka and Перекресток and the other way around. And another important element is subscription. Subscription actually helps now to obtain additional money from the collect additional money from the client, actually increasing share of wallet. And once in the same way, we see that digital people or those who have entered the contour into the channel, they are generating RTO much more actively than those who come with loyalty cards. And also the subscription model, like I said, it allows to increase the trade turnover. And secondly, we have such a category of clients which we have just singled it out by means of having subscription. It's people who have 3 to 4 shops per month. They are very carefully watching the prices at various retailers for various goods, and they have a very smart approach to the choice of the price offer. And the subscription actually helps them to increment them. And the trade turnover is increasing by hundreds of percents. And we make it on the basis of the analytics. You find those single-time visitors, but how do you work with the big data? Because it's actually a very interesting trend. Everybody is saying about it. And how to work with the data? Actually, it's a big unit. And so it's identification or X5 ID, and actually there are Petorechka and Перекресток store networks, chain stores, and they have their own authorization services, and it's all collected in one CRM, and they are two different legal entities, and every client gives consent for the processing of personal data and marketing consent for two different chains. So those who gave a consent to Petorechka, they have a phone number, and they have a loyalty card, and the Перекресток cannot do anything with them. And X5 ID is one golden account, one golden record. It's single authorization where the user can get once, log in once to any business of X5 groups and would not need repeated authorization. And in the eyes of the business, it's actually a very multifunctional thing that solves the following problems. We started to collect single consents and let every business communicate in different contours with the clients. There is contact policy, and we can have the log of the client from all trade chains, retail chains, and they can get cheese offers for cheese, for example, with a discount from different stores. And we know what kind of loyalty cards the client has, whether he is attending two chains or one chain, what is the cross RTO for the whole company, not for just one chain. And that's actually the first technology thing which has enabled the data drilling approach to develop, and the subscription looks at the X5 business in an umbrella manner from the top. So we want to make it so that the chains would be happy from the transcription, and yet it will have a good spin-off effect for the entire company. And X5 ID is actually the basis for this subscription policy that we have. We've been talking about those IDs for 2 days now. Yesterday, Alpha said that it made it its ID. Then Tinkoff has an ID. All the banks are now making those IDs. And for me, of course, the main ID is the number of the mobile phone. And I know that actually there are many telecom specialists. They are present here, and when the question is to you, there was a project some time ago. It started a long time ago, and now it's called Mobile ID. And why those ID people spend so much money, this insane amount of money, if they could have taken everything from the mobile operators? Everybody is building their ecosystem. But what kind of ecosystem? We know that there is Перекресток and Petorechka, there is Magnit. I visit all three chains episodically. Yet, all of them have their IDs. Maybe we should make one ID, maybe all of us should agree, maybe at the plenary session. Vladimir Kirienko said that we should actively deal with consents, and VK also has an ID. So I access a site and they offer 2 options of ID. So it's normal, but it's really a pain in the butt, because yeah, it's a classy thing. So let me now tell about this MegaFon mobile ID. So it's a solution for the clients, for the business. We want to actually relieve the life of the clients. And if the client during the registration has indicated the mobile number and it has coincided with the mobile number that we or any big 4 operator has, we can actually register and enter login or password, so it's a seamless integration. And we have one of the first operators who have implemented that. And so the access point can be with any of the big 4 operators. All the data is protected, and all the clients can provide this service. Actually, we have actually elaborated the safety, the security for this data, but can you merge this data with VKID or not? You should look at the VKID solutions, but actually I think yes, and when it was in one group there was even an idea of having such IDs, but because every company wants to follow its own track, it's always a special process. So can you comment on this mad number of consents? Well, let's give a consent to something. There was time when we said we won't. Everybody actually has declined to receive ads, commercials, but for a better client path, one has to accept many consents. And if you don't, I like this cookie story, because there are many sites that make cookies and it covers half a site. So if you agree, either you agree or not, what is our future? So Much was said about IDs, and every ecosystem has an ID, so it's neither good nor bad, it's actually given, because every company has its plan, its ambitions for the interface with the user, and building this user experience in its understanding. Much has been said, many statements were made, because every company has its own outlook, but I can just say that we are slightly on a different pole, and I can explain why, because we have 75 million people who are using a set of your services. On the one hand, you get a lot of responsibility. On the other hand, it is actually the capacity which is preventing you from relaxing, doesn't let you relax, because 75 million attend you every day, and any error, any unprecise thing, anything, any faults are visible to millions of users. And starting this year, we have implemented this global customer experience throughout the group. So what does it mean? So it's actually a set of perceptions by a person, by the user, of all the brand services, and it's a key link between the broad user experience and the brand. For example, there's a simple example. You can register yourself fast enough without reducing the importance of the ID. So it's just a small part which is called entry point. And then, if you have entered one of the VK platforms, so we are more and more concentrating on the entertainment, media, and educational services, and if you don't have enough services of such kind, then so if you came for something, did not get it and left, and you wanna now if you wanna look at some video and you wanna listen to some music, and it happens often when something is not working well, like Google is down, or Apple has introduced new restrictions, or a server is broken, and so what is the person doing? He is trying to understand what is happening. He's trying to get in touch with the company, and during this time the support service does not work 300,000 degrees. If you have classy login, super content, and on the other end they didn't pick up the phone, so you have suffered. And you have cured, you have actually had a remedy for this case. But then some news has come about something which had a general bad impact on one of the brand's services. So the person, in spite of something, is ashamed to recommend the service. So MPS has suffered. And the recommendations have suffered, and people are not growing well. The virality, the vitality has been lost, so the user experience is a lot broader than everything we discuss now, and it's a big strata of tasks at which the company is working, all its divisions, including the HR. So if any employee of the company for some reason doesn't like the products that they make, so in general, when I'm talking about it in aggregate, it makes no sense. It's a part of the user track, user record, user path. So my funnel consists of several layers, and we are checking every layer. In every layer we are giving some changes, and on the whole they yield those results that we saw recently, and they give a very good effect, and that actually is the key point which is making the company great. The company is working at all the layers at the same time. And when I'm talking about the entire story connected with IDs and consents, we have a lot of responsibility vis-a-vis our users. And we want to become a single user window. When the user decides whom to trust and what to trust, and when those services have been initiated, it's actually a super good beginning. And when every user has the right, and it's a task for us and all the businesses to give, so when and how we should use it. So thank you. I think maybe I actually agree with you. The only thing is that at one of the sessions, the bankers were sitting there and they said, we have open API, open banking, open finance, we are prepared to share the data. And then they said, how come we cannot make the IT companies, the telecom companies, to share the information? So they are working in one direction. And they can make a bank and start to do it actively. So, in my opinion, the IT giants, such as... so if you make your own bank, and Avito seems the only one who has not purchased a bank, so maybe you can purchase someone, and maybe then you will go to fintech, you will get all the data. If you have open API. So yesterday we were listening to a session and there was a person from Amazon, his name was Vaya. He said, we have a universal commercial bank. We want to provide all services to the clients. But do you need it? Hello to everyone, Andrey. I want to talk about the ID because you have an ID. So, but we don't have an ID. So, who is making it a white label? There are two stories. One is the ID that is looking outward, and there is also ID which is necessary inward. So there was yesterday a good phrase that future is actually the war of IDs or ecosystems of super apps. So, well, yesterday when we were talking about IDs, it's actually a story about how we are working with this or that client path, the experience inside Avito, because Avito has many entry points, and you can compare the prices for the cars. You can sell a perambulator, a stroller, or your client path may end. You have made an account for this. It's easy to do it on Avito. You have registered your phone, and then in 3 months you have a new account with Avito. It can be in a different VIN, in a different track. You make an account for the shopper, for the purchases, and you wanna bring then cattle from China. You make a professional account with Avito, and our approach to ID is a kind of a centralized architecture which enables you to build the right architecture of IDs inside Avito, so that you would have the item, the experience, which is tied to all verticals. You have cross-vertical consumption, so that everybody would understand your path, that you have come to a new town, that you should actually, new place of residence, you need to buy some realty, then now you're looking in the same city for job, or you first look for job, then you move. So it's all an ID story. Then also about fintech. Yesterday I didn't quite understand, because Vaya at first said that we need a universal bank in order to develop the services and sell them outwards. But then he said that their strategy is more along the lines of creating services for marketplaces, and there was some discrepancy there as well. And indirectly, for the same set of reasons, we actually have not taken a decision about buying a bank of our own, about something capital intensive, like a shared partnership, limited by shares. And we were thinking about for JV, and we haven't solved that. And purchasing our own banks, it's not super obvious for us in the short-term perspective. So we have made an accent and on multi-partnership, and in this complex series specifics we are getting best-in-class products from the best professionals of the market on the good terms, and in parallel we are learning, developing the expertise, developing the team, and that is essentially what we are doing now. And actually, in the conditions of saving, of limited resources, if we don't want to be involved with complex integration things, and we want to focus ourselves on the problems of the client and develop and shape the right client experience on the platform. Am I right in understanding Avito is not planning on for purchasing, because we can open a collection point for a zone of Wildberries or Yandex. Is Avito going to open those delivery offices so you can actually deliver things that you sell to those points? Actually, it's planning, and we are actually doing that. And this is one of the scenarios when we have decided not to build our own in-house infrastructure, but get in partnership with large logistical operators. And actually all those needs that you have stated now, you can close them at Avito by using Avito deliveries under the auspices of large respected logistical operators. We have DBS stores and sellers who are independently providing the logistics, and Avito delivery works well, and it's something for us. It's a key priority, and that's something that drives the business, and it's actually something. It's our logistical infrastructure and transaction inside the delivery. Now, question to you, Alexei. The client experience. We spoke more about physics, and you have a huge number of suppliers with who are trying to sell the goods, and there are other partners in B2B segment. However, does the client experience coincide with the natural persons, or are there some details that you should know before answering your question? There was quite an interesting discussion. I would like to reflect a little bit and propose a number of thoughts. The multiplicity of ideas is something from which we cannot go away. It's actually a synonym of your ownership of the client, and every business wants to own the clients. Therefore, you will have, and as a manager, you are managing a multitude of IDs. There is a multitude of IDs, logins, etc. And you should not make a unified one for everybody. The second idea is that we have touched upon the uncertainty of certain terms, and it's a very important thing. And actually, when I'm trying to inside explain to ecosystem, it's not about having a lot of something. It's in spite of the services that you have, it's more about connection, about the uniformity. I can have 2 or 3 products. So you can harmoniously use a number of services, a certain set of services, and you will have an understanding that no, it's not as much as important to have many of them, an array, than to have good quality. But of course, we have services that you have listed. The cosmetics and in the food and the grocery sector, makeup products. We are one of the fastest growing companies in that segment. Maybe not the largest one, but it's growing very fast, and we have quite a big number of services. And in my opinion, as we gradually move over to the question that was asked, in the sense, when we're working with the B2B, and the same element of work is connected with the services that you provide. Actually, when you improve the services inside the company, one of the key elements is the smooth transition, smooth interface between the functions inside one company. And the same goes for the interface with your supplier or contractor. And it's important to have this connection between the services that we have. And you don't have to address different parties for different things. There is a question of course, also digitalization and long-term vision of automation of this interface. When the back office of your supplier, we are not at the ideal point, but your suppliers, contractors, it actually has to do when we're talking about us, because we have a huge number of contractors, sales contractors, and it has to do with all kinds of other businesses. When we move over to dialogues, to all the electronic document turnover systems, so it's automation and it's a possibility for your suppliers and for your customers to monetize, among other things, your access to the client. So, and to some extent you can look at retail, and it's a business that is selling to the suppliers the access to their shelf, and how effectively you sell it depends on how effective you are in your business. So we sell 70 to 80 million of our clients who are coming to us regularly, to our suppliers, to our customers. They collect certain margins, certain commissions, and how effectively. So, and then the marketplace is depending on how you actually place, highlights this or that supplier. This allows you to earn on how you manage your suppliers, and also in offline retail it happens in the same way. It depends on how much you move forward, move upwards this or that supplier. You can increase the commission and the automation of the management, access to how you, to understanding of how you achieve it, the higher is the commission that you can collect, and that actually is the trend of the development of the interface with the part of your, the respective part of your contractors. The client part is important, but in the same manner you can collect your margin from that place as well. And also you, Alexei, said that there is an active interface with the clients, and they are collecting certain data on which the interface is based. But can you help the potential suppliers for the Magnit to sell better, to agree? Actually, in my understanding of a mobile operator, you have all data of the world, and you have heaps of SIMs, and you are trying to understand whether they can actually match all the data from the tablet, from the phone, and how does it help the business. Actually, we have a number of products connected with big data, and respectively B2B clients, we can provide to them depersonalized information about the preferences, the creation of a client portfolio, their behavior with these models, which will enable them to work more efficiently with their clients. And in a similar way, we are helping the regions with MegaFon tourism, where we also, in the personalized manner, are showing how many tourists have entered the region, which places they have visited, so that the regions would understand if there is demand for this or that location. And the public institutions can get this depersonalized information with actually a detailed profile. And so I understood, and now, do you need this data? Actually, the work is set up with the customers, and the customers are those whom we call, this is how we call the manufacturers of the goods, and they are actually the suppliers, and that's how it works with X5ID. X5ID is where we have a phone number, and to the phone number, loyalty card is attached, and when you make transactions based on loyalty card, there is raw data from the check, and that is the most important and the most easily distributable, easily sellable, like a crude oil. So we have X5 dialogue. It's a unified contact point through which the supplier can access, and then they can get access in different capacities. And you can check in which warehouses there is not enough goods, and you have a marketologist based on the same raw data from the checks. You can collect the segments, and also via the VKontakte VK we are also interfacing by means of collecting the segments and for them we can also thereby launch this or that product, and that helps the brand manager to monitor the effects of external advertising companies on the sale of this or that goods, and these modules are available in X5 Dialog platform, and there are new tasks from the suppliers for the reporting, and we understand that it's business, we earn on that, and we help the suppliers to increase the sales along the same lines, improving the turnover of all the networks. So actually moving smoothly over to you with a question. Yesterday VK Messenger, you actually can send messages for free there. Both banks can do it and also different retailers. Of course, we are not asking the MegaFon about that because they can earn some lose some earnings, but Evgeny, can you send messages via VK Messenger? So for you it's a potential economy, or other clients used to text messages or push messages. Actually, we are looking and we into the options how text messages can be replaced. We have tools in the market which are integrated, but we are looking into the long-term perspective, and we will be seeking different options, and the price of text messages in the format of the current authorization. Actually, is it convenient for the client? As here, actually, if you don't try, you never find out. It's done via testing, and text messages are used because there is understandable conversion from the trial of authorization to authorization. So we have flash calls, we have automated call in, but the conversion is not worse there. There are only a few percentage points. So actually you're sitting, you understand, you try to waiting maybe it's for somebody, maybe it's some career, somebody is writing off money from your card. Actually, in a private case, if you look at the millions, it's not so critical with percentage points, but other options, you are starting to view it actively, and this will be one of the tasks of the next year. So, in the spirit of our session, how it is comfortable, what is comfortable for the client, we are prepared to communicate in this manner, and in this context, I think managers of the new social networks, while before the main sales channel, and actually a new social media, so the role of messengers is increasing, and we see that Telegram, for example, has increased, and VK has grown very much as a communication channel, but Telegram, as far as I know, has increased even more, and that actually is the spirit of the time. So I think the messengers, we understand how much the role of messages is increasing as a media platform, as one of the sources of our interface for social networks. The messenger is becoming one of the social networks, and the role of sales via the messengers cannot be underestimated, because we are shaping the preferences of the clients and the other recommendations and everything in the digital channels. Everything is happening via social networks, and tomorrow it will be done via the messengers. So it's not only what we are prepared to communicate to the client, but it's a lot more. And when we're talking about the messages, so it's a new media, and of course for us it's a very important channel. Then can you comment? Actually, my kids are actually in two messages, in VK and in Telegram. And with me, actually, they correspond in WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is for the dad, and they even have with my wife, they have a separate chat in which I correspond. And actually, generation-wise, the younger the audience, the more they are inclined to use Telegram and less inclined to use VK. So WhatsApp is for old ones, like ourselves, and for the new young ones, it's VK and Telegram. What is pleasant? It is pleasant that the life, like business, is not linear, and as I said, like I said, the tone, we are located on the other pole, so I cannot but close the topic of the IDs, which is currently suspended on the air, but I will just formulate the thesis. Number one, we as the company, we are for the people. And it means that we give the user an opportunity to independently determine how exactly they want to tell about themselves. And for us, we need to with a good quality identify this client. And colleagues from more robust business think that there are users, and the ID is actually property of the company, and we monetize it, and due to our business, speaking from the other end, from the other pole, and we're actually working for the user. And actually the level of VK ID, when we try to see what kind of engine is underneath the hood of a car, there is a set of information which is quite variable. Like you can call me baby, yes, you can call me baby. And if need be, with the help of this design, we can identify you at KB Bank. So the white label, like you asked, we are with that part of the users, and since we are working towards for the user in his world with his rules, and we are not setting a very rigid framework, because for any organization there is quite a rigid framework. If you don't say something, certain things, then you're not a user. And for us, there is more flexibility, we have more flexibility, and we have super advanced industries which are more advanced than in any foreign countries. It's retail and telecom and others, so everyone is very good, and in any industry we have 3 to 4 to 5 leaders who have tens of million clients, and we are working for the people, and we have that 75 million, and we have 100 million users monthly. And speaking about IDs, I can say that, and you can live with that. So you can try to connect everything on the end of the pole, and then actually everyone has an ID in the country, has a web ID since the age of 12, and this is a story when we can say that we are working with the user. And coming back to the other side, I think we are working with a large number of businesses, and it's people, and everyone has a VK ID, and we are not splitting the users separating the users. Some people came to listen to the music, some came to buy advertisement, but you are you. You should feel comfortable, safe, etc. And so, speaking about this unifying structure, there is a great deal of responsibility when a great number of people are using your services every day, and your task is not to break this track. And so if you use general VK services, then you should also be able to use services for business. So, thank you. So about the messages again, do you believe yourself that the future belongs to the messengers, and VK messenger will occupy the place for the new generation, for the younger generation, quite a serious niche? Actually, in furtherance of what has been said before, we are going to where our clients are feel more comfortable working, and for a great number of young clients, those maybe we're not seeing all of them at the moment. So it's the rules of Google Store and Apple Store. We live in that ecosystem. We are forced to develop also through Roost Store. Roost Store is a separate big story. And we are prepared to create this powerful insurance and security against adverse events. So this messenger has a gigantic structure, and we are now entering the zone where all messengers will dedicated ones to certain tasks. So we actually want to add different functionalities to the messengers vertically. Now the guaranteed delivery of push notifications functionality is entered, and then we have also chosen the stuff related to industry. And we want to structure, to bring into order things in WhatsApp and Telegram, etc. And this will be structured in the form of client path in VK Messenger, and this will be super comfortable. Of course, there will be financial services, and since we are at the Phenopolis conference, Alexander Samsonov, for you also have this communication with the client. So there is some some messenger. So maybe everything should be embedded in the VK, and you should save on the development. And otherwise, you know, people would be prepared to introduce new services. You actually, I'm an independent person. As a client, I can say that, well, the Moscow Credit Bank, MKB, is what we are, but we actually are trying to promote the idea that we are client bank, MCB, and we are concerned about our clients, and for me, the fewer messengers, they are rather better, in a sense that I wouldn't want to be switching from one to the other. It would be better to have everything in one place. Of course, the main thing is safety, and of course, I can repeat, you know, that as a client, I wouldn't want a copy, and I can resend stuff and cite it. That would be comfortable for me, and actually, I think I wouldn't conceal, I never sold or bought anything at Avito. However, can you explain, because there is communication going on, there is a platform between platform and the users, but it doesn't go out. So there are messengers in the classified section, and the messenger is the foundation of foundations until we have converted to B2C, and that for us that actually exists. It's on a quite high level. We have all the artificial intelligence and chatbots and everything. But how can the client communicate? How can the clients communicate between each other on the outside? We leave it for the client. And in the not so distant future, when there will be open protocols and some throughput and transparent the universal IDs, etc., I think I can straight away answer. Actually, I can answer a question. Yes, that so far, no, it's not the case. So we are at the Fenopolis conference, so we have never touched upon the topic of fintech. Alexander asked a little bit about it. So, but that's not always about payments. We are actually everybody pays in a different manner. So what do you think? In about 3 years, you personally, how would you see the payment? How would you think you would pay? Because about 15 years ago, when the first contact-free operation with the card happened, because everybody said everybody will be inserting the card, nobody wants to apply it. And now everybody is just applying the card, but now actually a number of the phones cannot be used for contact-free payment. There are new methods of payment, so how would it be more comfortable for you to pay? Because we are talking about not the position of the company, but our personal horizon of planning. The horizon of planning has become much shorter, and for me 3 years it's a fantastic figure. I would actually like to return to the time about a year ago. I am a little bit skeptical. You just need to convert to Android and everything will be fine. Actually, my own position then in 3 years or earlier, I do not want at the moment when I pay, it doesn't matter how I pay. I don't want to be thinking with what I am paying, and I don't want to hear about the word card, and secondly, I don't want to be thinking about which money which account the money will be written off from, and I think that everything about which I dream now is actually will be implemented on the NSPK, the Mir card system company, because they have undertaken a huge work, and due to that company we actually have any opportunity to pay something anywhere. So I'm seeing the future in a pragmatic way. So, but of course it would be better to pay with the phone like it was a year ago, because actually the phone number is a key identifier. Therefore, I think that it should be more associated with the SIM. I think that I will be looking a little bit further, so the short-term changes should not be underestimated and long-term ones should not be underestimated. So we are seeing the payment system which will be more based on distributed systems, and I think blockchain in this or that forum, this technology will find its way, and those distributed payment systems will actually find their place, and they will be somehow embedded in the infrastructure. I think that probably answer, and I'm asking how I will personally pay. So I will be talking about the company, the trends, and I personally need the maximum freedom of choice, and then I can determine where it is more comfortable for me to pay, where I can save more. And for me it is of maximum importance to get how far the cash-free payments are reaching, not only for me to be able to buy it in the store, but to buy a car without different versions, options to bypass a cash-free transaction. And what my colleagues from Banks of Russia are saying, actually I support this vector, I support MirPay, of course we need an Android. And there are questions about the fast payment system, the SBP, but I think that it will be very accessible during the nearest time and I will be using it. So we are not talking about the trends, but anyway, I would also add that it is also important where you can pay and where you can purchase stuff, to have goods on the shelves. So both in the digital world and the offline world. And I would actually like to thank the speakers, they are wonderful, they are not bankers, and it's good to talk to those wonderful people who are making our life easier, because they're thinking about us. Thank you very much.